I myself visited the occupied Palestinian West Bank in October last year, where I was able to witness for myself the unmitigated misery that Palestinians must endure on a daily basis and the systemic abuse and discrimination they must suffer. The segregation wall, the Israeli government's own preferred term as rendered in Hebrew for the wall, not security barrier as it's generally referred to in the international press, does not simply enclose Israel itself, but as you must know, cuts deep into the occupied West Bank, dividing neighbour from neighbour, village from village, and villagers from their olive groves and fields, wrecking lives and making a viable Palestinian state utterly unfeasible, which is of course precisely what it's calculated to do. The wall exists also for the purpose of pure, naked theft. Wherever there is a nice piece of prime land to be had, the wall deviates from its official path and encloses it. I have myself seen the shameless abuse that Palestinians are subjected to at the countless checkpoints, where Israeli soldiers do not even attempt to conceal their contempt, even from any foreigners who may be present, for the Palestinian citizens who are obliged to run the gauntlet of them just to go about their daily lives. Indeed, it quickly becomes obvious to any observer that the wall has precisely nothing to do with Israel's security and absolutely everything to do with collectively punishing the Palestinians for the offence of simply existing and perceiving them all as would-be terrorists. Archbishop Desmond Tutu saw all this for himself, Mr. President. Unlike you, he made a point of doing so. Not for him was a derisory 45-minute trip to Ramallah. And what with the wall and a complex regime of apartheid laws to which Palestinians living within Israel proper are subjected that would have made apartheid South Africa blush, concluded that the reality of life for Palestinians was, quote, worse than apartheid. And not too many people know more about apartheid than he, Mr. President. I also saw for myself the equally numerous settlements, surely the most contemptible manifestation of Israel's policy towards Palestine and Palestinians. Those settlements deemed legal under Israeli law, all are of course illegal under international law, are generally luxurious and well provided for, being provided with services and amenities of the highest order, including swimming pools and luxuriant green spaces, while extracting as much as 80% of the water from surrounding aquifers. Local Palestinians, to whom the water belongs, often suffer acute water shortages. Many of the residents of these settlements are economic migrants and receive substantial subsidies provided by the Israeli state simply for the privilege of living there. Those settlements deemed illegal by the Israeli courts, the so-called outposts, tend to be occupied by a somewhat different kind of settler, fanatical Zionist extremists who, as I'm sure you are aware, frequently attack local Palestinians when they try to pick their own olives or tend their own fields. These outposts usually start off as an ad hoc collection of trailer homes, a water tower and a generator, but despite their illegal status, the Israeli army soon moves in to provide protection, to the settlers that is, and the Israeli government soon provides services. Only recently has the Israeli government announced that it will now withhold the provision of services to the outposts, but only in response to settler violence against the Israeli army, not in response to the settlers' routine violence against the Palestinian population. On the other hand, it was also my pleasure to have met with many inspiring persons and agencies, both Israeli and Palestinian, who are committed to defending human rights, bringing justice to the Palestinian and peace to both Israel and Palestine. Agencies such as Combatants for Peace, the Israeli human rights group B'Tselem, and the Committee Against House Demolitions, which concerns itself with the issue of the demolition by the Israeli army of Palestinian homes, either as collective punishment or simply to acquire land for Israel or Israelis. All those with whom I met, when asked what difference a new US administration might make, expressed the hope that if you yourself were elected, that your Middle East policy would abandon the slavish, grovelling, supine deference that has characterised US policy towards Israel to date, and would seek a real peace based on the unerring application of international law, which has been conspicuous in its absence in respect of all US-supported peace initiatives so far, which in itself may be seen to amply provide for justice for the Palestinians and, as a natural consequence, peace for the Israelis. People, ordinary decent people of every race, age, social background, are looking at the events in Gaza, are looking at Israel's ongoing occupation of Palestine and its cruel, shameless treatment of Palestinians. They are looking at a weak, impotent UN, hamstrung by the US's malign, overbearing and profoundly undemocratic dominance over that institution that is supposed to uphold the highest principles of human conscience. They are looking at those elected to the highest political offices of their respective countries, who in all too many instances are not merely indifferent to Israel's behaviour, but actually complicit in it. And they are getting angry, Mr. President. Very, very angry. Mr. President, an Israel, a Jewish state, a homeland for a people who have faced centuries of bigotry and persecution, is one that the whole world, including Palestinians, could live with. But a greater Israel, a brutal, rapacious, radical Zionist, colonial, imperial state, impelled by a flagrantly racist ideology in respect of the people who have paid the price for its existence in its current form, is one that we cannot.
A blinding flash of white light lit up the sky over Gaza tonight. People running for cover, not knowing whether they're dead or alive. They came with their tanks and their planes, with ravaging fire